This week's episode is brought to you by Flesh, a short film by Monica Estrella Negra, a black queer woman navigating life in the Chicago DIY hardcore punk scene, finally gets fed up with the hypocrisy of her peers and turns to homicide. Flesh is available on Amazon Prime, and you can get there by clicking the link in our show notes. And now, let's begin. So, you have no idea what this movie is even about?
No, just some guy in a silver mask was handing them out at the subway. It must be some kind of marketing thing.
Well, a free movie is a free movie.
You said it. Hey man, hand me some popcorn, will you?
Hey, if you wanted some snacks, you should have bought some.
You're gonna eat that all yourself?
Dude, don't judge. And also, shut up. The movie started.
What the hell?
For crying out loud, why is someone screaming? The movie's just barely started. It's not even scary. I hate it when people make noise at a theater.
Dude, something's going on. There's some kind of commotion.
Great. Hey! Keep it down!
Sheldon! Someone's attacking people! Oh my god, he's killing them! Oh my god, they're getting up! And they're attacking people! I think they're some kind of demons! They're coming this way!
Okay, that's how it's gonna be, huh? Alright, let's go, assholes! Take that! You! Do not make noise when I'm watching a movie! Fuck you! Oh, come here!
Oh wow, he's really mad.
Hi-ya!
Well, you just ripped that seat right out of there, and now you're bashing someone with it.
Come back! I'm not done with you, you little demon bastard!
Whoa, that's the first time I've seen that move. Is that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Take that! That, you noisy... Ow! Ow! Ooh, scratch me, will you? Give me a sword.
Wow! That guy's head almost made it to the balcony.
There. That'll learn you. Don't make noise at a movie.
Well, they're all dead.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. Okay. Alright. Back to the movie.
Hey, you got a scratch on your neck. Are you okay?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm fine.
Yeah, sure, it looks nasty. Oh, now it's swelling. And bursting!
Shut up, fine! You sit there and watch the movie.
Oh my god, are you gonna kill me?
No, maybe shut up. Oh, this popcorn's fucking fantastic.
So, Sheldon and Demon Sheldon are pretty much the same. That explains a lot.
Pass the Twizzlers. Do it before I kill you. I'm a demon.
Welcome to episode 65 of the Graveyard Shift Horror Podcast, where each week we watch a horror movie suggested by one of our listeners, and we break it down into the good, the bad, and any other category we decide to make up, because real jobs are for losers. We'll talk about the plot, some production details, and anything else we find fun or relevant. I'm your host Sheldon, and I never worked a graveyard shift alone. Please say hello to a guy that would be fine with demonic possession if he got free movie tickets at a deal, my co-host Mike.
Hey, everybody.
So Mike, I got a revelation for you.
Ooh.
Apparently, I'm not a horror fan.
You fucking imposter.
Do you want to know why I'm not a horror fan?
I don't even know if it matters at this point, but you might as well.
Well, according to someone, one of our listeners on Facebook actually, I can't be a horror fan because I criticize horror movies too much. Apparently, you should have no complaints if you really love horror.
You know there's a difference between love and worship?
Yeah, I guess that means that if you're a horror fan, you are supposed to love every horror movie without question. Just like if you're a fan of, I don't know, rock music. That means you have to love every single rock song. That makes total sense, right?
I thought that only applied to patriotism.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a comment on Facebook, so it has to be right.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the court of public opinion, and people can't be that wrong.
So,
I mean, people are all inherently good and intelligent, so the statements themselves must be inherently intelligent and factual.
Yeah. So just remember that, everybody that's listening. If you have any complaints about any horror movie ever, if you don't love it 100%, or you can critique it in any type of way, you're not actually a horror fan. Just thought you should know that.
And also, if you have a single argument in your relationship, you should probably break up because you're really not in love.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now that that's out of the way, Mike, why don't you tell everybody what we got from this week?
Well, speaking of critique, oh boy. Today's episode is Show Me Demoni, because we watched Demoni.
Otherwise known as Demons. For us, North Americans. But anyway, here's a little info on Demons. Released in 1985, Demons is an Italian horror film directed by Lamberto Bava, and not Dario Argento, as many people seem to think, although he did produce it, sort of. It has a runtime of 88 minutes, is rated R due to violence and gore, had a budget of $1.8 million, and had a box office return of I don't know because I couldn't find anything on it. Rotten Tomatoes gives this one a 56% critic score, and switch those numbers around and you have an audience score of 65%. As for the plot, a group of random people are invited to a screening of a mysterious movie, only to find themselves trapped in the theater with murderous demons. And Mike, I've got a little bit of a problem with this movie.
A little?
Yeah, the main problem is, we do this thing every week, and it's like, we usually judge whether or not a movie is worthwhile, whether, like, our goods outnumber our bads. And usually we've got, like, quite a few things to talk about. Either we've got an abundance, or I should say that I do, we have an abundance of good or an abundance of bad things to talk about. I found this one really hard to classify anything I wanted to talk about. I found it hard to classify whether or not it was a good or a bad thing. And I think this is the first time this has ever happened to me. I find this movie kind of hard to talk about. There's not that it's short of anything happening. There's lots of specific incidents to talk about. I just don't know what to categorize them as.
Yeah, I had that myself because I was writing down things that are just like, I need to talk about this. But then when it was all said and done, I'm just like, where the fuck does any of this belong?
Mm-hmm. But, we got a job to do, so we're going to try to do it the best we can. We are going to talk about the good and the bad, and I think probably we might have a couple of just what the fuck confusing things to talk about. So now, anything we talk about, whether we liked it or didn't like it, really could be anything. We can be as broad or we can nitpick as much as we want. Like, it can be an overall theme, can be a certain scene, certain character, certain actor, certain line of dialogue, certain music cue, whatever. If we liked it or didn't like it, we'll certainly mention it. And as tradition goes on this show, we'll start with the good and we'll start with the Mike. So Mike, suck it up and tell me something good about this movie.
The first thing I could write down that was good was seeing the Black Dynamite pimp. He showed up in the movie theater. He's got his hose in full effect. They're messing around with the props. He's telling them to shut the fuck up. Like, this guy is just full on 80s pimp, and his voice, like I don't want to say he sounds black, but he sounds fucking black. Mm-hmm. He's just like, shut the fuck up, bitch. Come on. Yeah. Quit wasting my goddamn time. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. He's a very 80s Italian character, which is a very 70s American character.
Oh, and just about everything this guy does, he's kick-ass. When shit goes down, he's just like, you calm your fucking shit, white boy. Let's pot some shit up in the barricades. You gotta throw that zombie off. Like, he's like the black guy. He's kind of like, what was his name? Frank? No, not Frank. Who's the guy from Living Dead?
Oh, Ben?
Yes. He was kind of like an angry, misogynistic version of Ben.
Yeah. He was a pretty kick-ass character.
Yeah, kicking ass.
Until he got
coming up with a good plan.
He's a kick-ass character until he got his dick bitten off.
Yeah, until he got betrayed by the incompetence of all the white people around him.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Ben.
Isn't that just the way it always goes? But yeah, I liked him. He was one of my favorite characters, actually, until, like I said, until said incident. But yeah,
he was a strong pimp until just like Samson, they removed the source of his power, and then he was immediately dispatched.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would kind of take the fight out of me as well. So at that point, I'd be like, you know what, just kill me, please. I'll be a demon. What the hell ever. So, yeah. So I gotta say, the first good thing I had on here is that, and a lot of people might disagree, but I put it into good, was the music for this movie.
Oh, man, was it great.
It fit the movie so well. It's not something that I'm going to be listening to. I'm not going to be walking around my headphones, with the soundtrack to Demons playing. But
you should, because it's fucking baller. We got Go West going, we close our eyes, dun 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 dun. Have you seen that video?
Yeah, I have, actually, yeah.
The fuck, that guy's just swinging this wrench around and everything, and he's got like these, those artistic marionettes. Like those wooden block marionettes that artists use for poses?
Mm-hmm.
They're all doing like choreographed can shit in the background. He's got like girders going on. He's walking around with like shirtless with suspenders on, wielding a big wrench in time with the music. It's like some neat industrial, like working in a coal mine, going down, down, down. It's fucking catchy.
How would you describe it? It's like metal synth pop, if that's the thing. So yeah, so like it was very catchy. Yeah, I was liking the music. So I had to put that in my notes for sure. So like that was my first thing on the good list. So what do you got next?
The lady who's having an affair right next to her blind husband.
Blind father, actually.
Oh fuck! Well, that's.
I thought it was her husband too. Actually, it wasn't until I was writing up my notes and doing a little research on this movie after I watched it that I realized that it was her father.
Why the fuck was she hiding then?
No, I guess she didn't want her father to know she was making out with some dude that looked like could have been as old as he was.
Yeah, with his business partner or whatever. I mean, that's Italian, so it could have been his brother. I mean, it's Italy, so they would have done that.
Mm-hmm. And
still,
I gotta say, good for that guy because he was batting way out of his league there.
Oh, she was stunning.
Mm-hmm. He was not.
Oh no, he looked like a fucking washed up car salesman, or the accountant for a washed up car salesman.
Yeah. And she was a cutie little Italian lady, which is very nice.
Oh yeah, well that kind of ruins my good because I thought it was an affair. So.
Womp womp.
Well, you fucking neutered me. Oh well.
Oh,
truth, stupid truth getting in the way.
That's what happens, dude. Do your research.
Watching this movie felt like enough research.
So what I've got next for the good is some of the effects in this movie were fantastic. One in particular was the second person to get infected. One of the I actually had to look this up too to see if this was actually a pimp and prostitute type of deal, and it was.
Hooker number 2.
Hooker number 2. When she changes, they really focus on her. There's no quick change. It's slow. It's painful. and you see it all in its gory goodness. And the highlights of the change were the elongated fingernails that start scratching up the floor, and then a close-up of her new teeth coming in.
Oh, and they got, like, there's, like, two sharp ones right next to each other, like Nosferatu-style fangs.
It's an orthodontic nightmare going on there. There's long, pointy fangs, and they're all gnarled up and going in different directions. But the highlight of it, like, instead of her own teeth kind of becoming them, like you would see in most movies, like the teeth that she has just kind of, like, coming out sharper and longer and things like that, her new teeth come in and actually push her teeth out, and you see them get pushed out and fall out of her mouth into like a bloody pool. And it's just fantastic, and just leaves her with these like gnarly fucking pinchers in her mouth. And just great, like it focuses in on it and you see the whole thing going on.
And her fingernails dripping blood as these and her fingertips split open.
Fingertips split open and the claws, the nails come out. Yeah, it was all good.
It's kind of like if John Landis and Dave Cronenberg decided to do a transformation scene.
Mm-hmm. And then we got another one, and I'm actually going to talk about special effects in the bad category, too, because some of them belong there. But for the most part, they were, you had some highlights, some of it were passable, some definitely belong in the bad category. We had another one that wasn't so much as a transformation, but I'll call it a hatching. And that's when one of the girls, actually the lead character's best friend, which she changes. Jesus Christ, she gets down on all fours, her back actually splits open, and a fucking full-size, grown-ass demon crawls out.
Yeah, like her body becomes a table/portal. Because this demon with dimensions that should not fit, considering that he's like rising out of her waist, which is only about like the size of a regular woman's weight, or like the regular size of a woman's waist.
Yeah.
But he's like standing out of it, like he's been crouched up in the fetal position inside it.
Yeah, it was done pretty good, I must say. Like, I like that. It looked kind of odd, it looks like, and I guess it means because it's kind of a possession, like you're possessed by an incorporeal being that's now, like, it's coming out, so now it's corporeal, I guess, is the best way I could describe it. Now it's solid, and I just liked it. It looked good. I was digging that whole effect. So, I'm trying to think if there anything else that belonged to the good. The injuries, like, they're pretty basic, like the people that when they get scratched. It was a basic effect, but still well done. It didn't look overly fake like we've seen like a lot of lower budget horror movies, so I'll give it a good grade. And I can't really think of anything else. That's the only ones I had in my notes. So I'm sure, like, for the most part, I'd give the special effects a good enough grade, but there is a couple of instances that I want to talk about that will be in the bad category, but we'll get that soon enough. What else you got for the good?
I guess I can just plow through my remaining three, which is the motorcycle rampage. Despite the fact that this thing should be falling over every seat, it manages to maintain a straight drive path, and it should be flipping over everything. It should be getting stuck on every corpse it runs over, and he keeps leaving the cinema, going into the hall, and coming back in for another pass, rather than, just like getting the fuck out. And it's so fucking stupid, but the sheer awesomeness of the act, plus the music, it just, the awesomeness of this whole thing supersedes the disbelief and the stupidity in it.
Mm-hmm. But that's an 80s staple. I mean, that's an 80s action staple. It's like when the hero gets on a motorcycle, then shit just got real.
Yeah, this is when an action hero in the 80s gets on a motorcycle, it's basically the Power Star from Mario.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's ready to become invincible and just destroy everything he touches.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then one thing that got me, which was more of a brilliant idea than the scene itself, was when I was seeing this Sylvester Stallone Jr. guy driving this car. Someone hands him a Coke can, and he actually snorts the Coke in the straw.
They had their cocaine put in a Coke can because it's both called Coke.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And I can't imagine like that plastic straw doing your nose any favors.
I told
And
you
you
a story
told me-
before about my friend Krista, right?
Yeah, Chris Straw.
Yeah, okay. I think I actually told it on an episode, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through it again.
So the
Love you,
idea
Chris
of
Straw.
the idea of cocaine and a Coke can, and as far as like some people carry like a hip flask or a little booze bottle in a paper bag, but those are pretty obvious what you've got. This is kind of fucking brilliant. Mm-hmm. You can walk around carrying like a whole bag of shit, just doing bumps and just making it look like you just like turn around, do a little, and you're good. I mean, this is like a great way to drive around with your Coke in a mobile form without carrying a plastic baggie.
Yeah, it's true. It's brilliant in its simplicity, and I'm sure no cop would ever like check your pop can, I guess.
No, if you got like a Coke in your cup holder, and you're just like, "Hey, officer, how you doing?" And he's just like, "License, registration. Do you have any booze?" Nope, just these soft drinks, because I'm a responsible driver. And he's just like, "Oh, okay." It's not like he's gonna be like, "Give me that can," and like tip it over, unless he's like some asshole cop that wanted to like ruin your soft drink anyway and just happens to stumble upon a drug situation.
Asshole cop. Like such a thing would ever exist.
Yeah, we all know that, people go through a strict moral screening when they join law enforcement.
Yeah.
Just to make sure bullies and assholes don't get in there because, those people would love to get their hands on guns and, power.
Yeah. I considered being a police officer once, and then I thought, guns and anger issues. No, thanks.
Plus, you don't have any particular anger towards any particular race, so...
No. So, yeah, that was the other problem. I don't particularly hate anyone, so... Okay.
Yeah, you have to you have to take time to know them before you hate them.
What else you got for the good?
Just one last one, and this guy only shows up in the last 3 minutes, and that's Kurt, the 10-year-old shotgun champion who never takes his eyes off threats.
He was pretty awesome.
He shows up, you don't even know what his name is for a while, but then he just shows up riding shotgun, in a Hummer, and then whenever zombies come along, he's got this shotgun, which when they zoom in on it, it looks like a fucking grenade launcher. When they zoom in on the barrel, but in regular, like, he's firing this thing, it should be destroying his 10-year-old body. That recoil should be vaporizing his shoulder blade, but no, he pops a zombie, prevents them from getting in, and then when, spoiler alert, one of the passengers quickly turns. He was on the lookout for this shit, because immediately before they can take out anybody, he blasts them the fuck right out of the Hummer, knocks them on the road, and then he just continues eating his hot dog. Like, this is a good kid. I would love to have this kid as a nephew.
Yeah.
Or hell, even as a partner while doing sweeps in the neighborhood.
And you alluded to, or didn't allude to, you actually mentioned it, but this is something I got on my good list. The ending caught me by surprise. I thought, I kind of knew how it was going to end. It's just one little variable changed. Because I thought for sure I knew exactly what was going to happen at the ending. And it did, just not the way I thought it was going to happen.
Or who you thought it was going to happen to,
Exactly, which also leads into something I got on my bad list, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
We can do that right now because I'm all out of goods.
Okay, so I'll start off with the bad then, and since we've already talked about it, I'll go to that. Okay, so because we don't give a fuck about spoilers, and I think anybody who listens to our show regularly knows to expect spoilers now, and if this is the first time, then we're going to give you 5 seconds to stop listening now, because we're going to give major spoilers to the ending of this movie. There we go. Okay, so the ending. I thought for sure it was the guy that was going to turn into a demon at the end.
Since he was injured?
Yes! This is what I wanted to get at. So the movie ends with them. You think everybody's safe. They're driving away. Looks like they've made it out. The credits are actually rolling at this point. Like, this is literally happening during the credits, the end credits. We see that, no, it's not the guy that turns into a demon. It is actually the girl, Cheryl. The final girl, like the main character throughout all this movie. She turns into a demon, gets popped by Kirk's shotgun, and gets literally blasted a Jeep. Like, the movie ends showing her possessed dead corpse laying face down on the road. And...
And what was his name? Jensen Ackles?
Yeah, Sicilian Jensen Ackles.
Yeah, he's just stunned. Meanwhile, Kirk is just like, man, this hot dog's good.
Mm-hmm. So this is where, like I said, that was good because it did catch me up by surprise because I thought it was going to be the main dude, like the hero of the flick, was going to be the one to turn. Because the way everybody's been getting infected and getting possessed by demons in the movie is that they get injured, either scratched or bitten by someone else that's possessed. And that makes them turn. Except for him, he seems to be immune because we actually saw him in the big motorcycle scene get scratched by a demon.
He's got a good gouge out of his arm.
Yeah. Like, it's noticeable, and it's not like something subtle. Like, we actually see him play it up, because we see him get scratched, and he respond to it. He grabs his arm and winces in pain, and then keeps going. So I'm like, oh, so motorcycle guy is gone. But no, he makes it through the end. He's fine at the end of the movie. We don't see what happened to her for her to get injured, but she turns and gets killed. So, caught me by surprise, which was good, but yet it shoots a big hole in the continuity of the movie.
Yep, it completely takes away anything that this movie has established so far and just be like, hey, you know all that attention you were paying? Fuck you.
Yeah. So,
because some people can get injured and it's okay.
So once again, this happens a couple times in my notes, but I had something in both one incident in the good and bad list. So Mike, why don't you tell me something bad about this movie?
Well, again, regarding this girl who, she looks like an American actress, doesn't she? I mean, she's got a face that looks like something we've seen before, doesn't it?
She does.
Like a sexier Natasha Lyonne, the girl from American Pie.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and when the guy is handing out movie tickets, who looks like Phantom of the Opera and Jason X.
And
classic theater gets an upgrade.
Yeah, and I got to tell you something about him. The actor that played him, he's got a connection to another Italian horror movie that we covered on the show.
Ooh, well, you can tell me after I'm done mine.
Okay.
And that is when he's handing out tickets to the movie theater, and he's, again, dressed up in like this weird... It's not even like a solid mask on one side, like the Phantom of the Opera. It's like broken pieces, like he's kind of like a Terminator.
Yeah, it's sectional.
The
like the mask itself is put on. It seems like it's something that would be put on, like stuck with some kind of adhesive, but like piece by piece.
Yeah, and there's like parts where like the metal is like surrounded by skin, like he's a Terminator. And she, after she gets a ticket from him, she actually walks up to him and asks, "Are you dressed like this for the promotion of the film?" And he gives her, he doesn't even give her the time of day, which is the only appropriate response, because anything else would be slapping her across the side of the head and just being like, "No, I just have a disability. I don't like to talk about it or call attention to it. I'm very self-conscious about it."
Yeah, because that would be a reasonable response.
Hey, it's the only reasonable response to an unreasonable question.
No, can't agree with that.
Well, you have to admit it was a very stupid question.
There's
or not. You can argue that, you know, maybe he's just a volunteer and they got him like That's just how he regularly looks. Okay, sure, go ahead.
It was 1985, dude. You'd think he was the only person walking around with like silver plastic stuck to their face?
Well, we did see somebody who looked like they got like a duck's ass and a waffle iron for a haircut. We saw them on the train, so you know what? Fuck me.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a good question.
So anyway.
So tell me about the guy.
Yeah, this guy, he played the. So he was the guy that handed out the tickets with the silver mask. He also played the murderer in the movie within the movie that we're going to talk about soon. And he's more of a director than an actor, and he actually directed Cemetery Man.
Another movie with a bizarre fucking plot and not quite explained dead resurrections.
Yeah. We're on top of that. So that was his connection.
That seems to be an Italian theme.
Yeah,
Dead
it really
people
does, yeah.
with no fucking explanation. We have zombie, which apparently these zombies are living in the dirt until 40 years or whatever after World War II, waiting for a tourist to walk along their grave, then they rise up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so continuity issues definitely seems to be a theme with Italian horror.
And unreasonable demonic possession resurrection deals. It's like, who the fuck needs explanations? It's just things. It's just there. That seems to be the main Italian mindset. Why the fuck does it need to make sense? It just has to look impressive.
Yeah. Well, that's the next thing that I've had on my bad list is that this movie really has no plot. Like, it has a plot in the sense that, yes, I read the plot, a bunch of random people get stranded in a theater after a mysterious stranger gives them free movie tickets, and the theater gets attacked by people possessed by demons. Sure, okay, if you want to call that a plot, that's fine. What I mean is that it doesn't have a plot. It's like, there's no explanation about why or how this is happening, who's behind it, the purpose of it. Then there's just weird stuff that make no sense, like what is the point of the movie within the movie that mirrors what's happening that's actually happening to people in real life.
Yeah, what's the purpose of the movie? If your goal is to just like injure people with a demonic mask, then you could just, I don't know, like grab homeless people, offer them like $20 to do something in an alley, and then when they think, oh, all right, but then they get a surprise, you put the mask on their face for about 2 seconds, and then you leave. Then they just wander into the beer store and change.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think about the effort it takes, the production it takes to make a fucking movie, schedule a premiere, secure a theater, also you can make people hope that one of them will touch the mask in the lobby.
Yeah.
And infect themselves.
Like, when we watched Waxworks, I mean, it was explained the reason why the guy wanted people to come into the Waxworks and had to get them to go through the portal in the exhibits. Like, there was a reasoning behind it.
It was still thin as fuck, but at least there was reasoning.
Yeah, they were stretching, but at least they tried to offer up some kind of reason. Here, there's no reason mentioned. Like, if their goal was to, the demons to start infecting people and take over the world, then okay, like that's evident at the end. But yeah, why did you have to do it in that type of manner? Like, why not, like you said, here, like, go to some homeless person and say, hey, I'll give you $10 if you put this mask on just try this mask on. They put it on, cut themselves with it, they're infected, they start infecting everyone else on the street, and then it spreads from there. Like, that's all it would have taken. Like, this was a very roundabout way of doing it, in my opinion, if that was your ultimate goal. And then it leads to other questions, like, how was the movie theater all bricked up when the panic ensued and everyone tried to leave?
Yeah, if the only thing you have are demons that are brought around through injuries caused by a mask, then what the fuck is the magic that somehow bricks up the theater, but not all of it, just the front door?
Yeah, because there was still an open door, because that's how the punks get in later.
Yeah, and they managed to get out through the roof, so it's... Well, didn't anybody make it outside? No. Oh yeah, a zombie made it outside.
Yeah, because that was because of the punks, right? And that opened the door.
Yeah, maybe the theater let him out, because why the fuck not?
Why the fuck not? The theater like magically boarded itself up, so I guess it could magically let someone out when it wanted to.
What was your other question?
think that was it. That was just my rant. Like, it just, like, it's no explanation. Like, it just, like, just no reasoning behind what was happening.
Yeah, the bad section for me is, like, about 60% just questions.
Yeah.
And the first or the second of the many questions I have is, why is a pimp taking his hose to the movies?
I don't know. Work perks. I don't know. That was his two best hoes, I guess. I don't know.
All right, you bitches, listen up. I've been reading about marketing and teamwork and team building exercises and shit morale, so we're gonna go to the fucking theater. So put on your best clear heels and your nice fishnets. We're gonna go out on the town. But don't be all huggy and kissy, because this is just a work thing.
Oh, God. So, I guess next thing, I guess I better do this for my bad. Continuity. Just like, we talk, like, there's a big difference in the way that some people get, not the way they get possessed, but like the symptoms that they show when they get possessed. So, a lot of people are just like, you know, like, for instance, the first girl that gets possessed. Basically, it's just like a quick makeup job and some, like, red contacts. And she's running around with her mouth agape and making weird noises. And they did put, like, some prosthetic fingers on to give her claws. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, she was pretty much like a slightly, like, a cross between a John Landis werewolf and Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Yeah. But then there's some other people that go through, like really massive transformations. Like, the shape of their face changes. There's all kinds of prosthetics involved. Some of them have glowing eyes, some don't. Some of them get very, like, zombie-like. And then there's this one girl, just one, like we mentioned earlier in The Good. She just all of a sudden apparently is just an incubator that, like, splits open and, like, a full-size...
She's a chrysalis.
Yeah, a full-size demon jumps out and starts running around. And that's the only one we see that looks like that.
Man, that one looks like a fully developed gremlin.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, that's somebody, like, in a full bodysuit. Like, so what was going on there? Like, was that, like, the king demon or something? What?
The king demon with no discernible strength or leadership abilities.
No, he scratches somebody and runs away. So, and then he ran away like he was like he was scared of them. He just does, like, a quick little scratch and runs away, while the other ones are, like, not run away from anybody. They're like freaking dogpiling people.
Yeah, they're like rage virus zombies.
So, continuity, like, it was just, like, completely out the window with this one.
And one of the symptoms of the first symptom of your possession is demon zits.
Yeah.
So it's evil that could have been vanquished with Clearasil and a priest. You just get a peroxide swab on that shit and boom, demon gone.
Yeah, that was one of the things, at least common for, like, the first few people we saw get infected. They get the throbbing, pulsating demon zit that erupts and sends pus everywhere. It's like,
yeah, which makes sense in I don't know, like, maybe it's that strong Italian
it's
cocaine.
like a fucking Dr. Pimple Popper YouTube video.
And another thing I've got is hooker number 2 can't remember where the damn theater, where the cinema is, wanders into a room full of hanging curtains, screaming while hiding, and then manages to somehow circumvent the cinema completely and appear behind the screen. And then, like, there are times when she just forgets that she's got gaping neck wounds, and she just starts watching the movie. Like, oh, wow, this is a good movie. Like, never mind the fact you're bleeding profusely from your jugular vein. Fuck that shit. There's a good movie going on. And when you think North American horror movies have a bad view on the intelligence of women, Italian movies say, hold my vino.
Yeah, they made the ladies in this movie pretty useless.
even the hero of the story is pretty bad, except for one moment at the end when she finally uses her boyfriend's peril to her advantage and stabs a demon in the back.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the one time this is what in Italy you call a action heroine.
Yeah, they didn't go with like the strong female lead for this one for sure. They could really use like a Ripley or a Sarah Connor in this one.
Yeah, but in Italy, who would buy that?
Yeah, I guess.
Be like, what? Come on, a woman being useful? I mean, what kind of movies are you watching? I mean, welcome to Italy.
So, I gotta put, and okay, since we've already kind of grazed on it, I gotta talk about this. I had to put this in my bed. Like, oh my god, useless people. Just, how many people died in this movie just because of stupid mistakes?
Yeah. Let's split up. I need to find a mirror to put on my lipstick.
It's people splitting up, because that really needs to be, well, I just said it needs to be taken out of horror movies, like, real fast, but I'm talking, like, through a 2018 lens, I guess. Like, this was 1985, so, but even then, I think it was a pretty overused trope.
It doesn't serve the plot in any way. It only serves the viewer so that, it doesn't even serve us. It serves the director, so he has an excuse to kill some people.
Yeah. Like the punks, even though they didn't know anything weird was really going on at the moment, they were just being chased by police. One of them had to stop to reapply her lipstick. Because that was important at the time.
Yeah, they see something blocked off, and they're just like, yeah, we're not going to, yeah, don't question it. Let's just look inside.
Mm-hmm. And then we've got the people in the balcony that actually made them, like, for the time being, were safe because they ripped up all the seats, blocked up all the entrances, and then they hear a noise that they can't identify and think, like, they know that there's these fucking possessed people coming at them, trying to kill them, trying to turn them into demons as well. They hear a noise.
They hear some gunshots.
Yeah, that they don't, not sure what's going on, but let's unblock all the exits and see what's happening. And
it's the cops are here. The cops are here. Let's go meet them.
Yeah. And
instead of, speaking to them and asking, like, are any of you still alive? It's like, oh, there's a battle going on. Let's go help.
Yeah. So,
and
just dumb people being dumb.
Speaking of blind people in movies before descriptive audio.
Oh, having to have, like, your interpreter there tell you what's going on, describe it to you?
Yeah, because one thing that can be tolerated in a movie is somebody constantly talking, asking what's going on.
Oh, well, I love that. Fuck.
You just love having someone saying, what's happening now? And you're like, fuck off, it's happening. Shh.
People are doing shit.
Yeah. Like, who the fuck goes out to the movies when you're blind? Like, nowadays we have descriptive audio, so they can put, like, a little earpiece in, and someone's telling them, like, someone is going down a dark alley. Cheryl is then asking, Cheryl then finds a book bound in leather. Like, there's ways to accommodate them now, but before then, just listen to the fucking radio.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you had more?
Yeah, I can blast through them now. The pimp gets some really bad dubbing when he's asking about the emergency exits. Like, there's no sound coming from him when his mouth is open and he's clearly yelling several times. Like, it's not like, oh, well, their lips aren't going to sync up perfectly when they're speaking the words because the words are different. But, at least in ADR, it'd be like, well, his mouth is opening. At least have like an, ah! No. His mouth is flapping, no sound at all, and he's like yelling, not talking.
Yeah, the ADR was pretty bad.
And then another thing I wrote was 80-pound vending machines. Because when they get hooker number one, or Rosemary, trapped in a room, the black guy basically picks up a vending machine almost by himself. And the way they move this thing around, it's clear that this is just like a cardboard box with like vending machine shit painted on it. With maybe like a board to support the buttons. And then the subplot where these fucking idiots think that the movie itself is to blame. Like, the energy given off by the film existing is making itself real. Instead of even considering that the guys running the event and the theater planned this, that they think the movie needs to be stopped, that this is their first plan rather than just killing all the demons and then trying to assess things. And there's a woman who works for the theater. You think that she's in on it. And
yes, I thought for sure she was in on this.
She's an employee of the theater. And she's also dressed like an elf.
And just the way she responded to questions as well. Like, not questions, but when the two prostitutes started smoking, the way she comes up and says, like, oh, there's no smoking allowed in the theater. And then, like, stares at them and just walks away, like, while...
She had, like, a malevolent presence.
Exactly. I thought she was the one behind all this.
Or at least like a sexy henchman.
Mm-hmm. But nope, she's just some person that happened to be there, and she gets the same thing just about everyone else gets in this movie.
Because, again, there was a film made about this shit and then released in a theater. You'd think that somebody in the up-and-ups... like, they're coordinating this effort, that she would be a part of it. But no, because that would be a fucking plot, and you do not have a plotzo in my Filamo in Italy. Ugh. And then another bad I have here, it's not a question, it's a statement. Never cut titties, unless they're on a monster. And plus, this girl looks 13.
Yeah, you got that right.
I mean, like, when like, she looks like a fucking child.
Uncomfortable is the only way I can describe that scene.
Yeah, like, just showing the boobs of a girl with a baby face like that is already questionable. And then this guy's, like, scraping the coke off of it with a razor blade, and then he starts, like, playing around with it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, dude, no. Bad. Like, if you scraped it once or twice to be like, oh, like, scintillating, risky stuff, and then fine. But no, you keep going at it, like, you're going to cut. And, like, he does it on
I had on my
purpose.
notes here, it's like, oh, did one of these hardened criminals' moms make them take their little sister along?
And then one of the girls with a perm, she gets Pepto-Bismol demon puked on, and that turns her. She doesn't even get scratched or injured. She just gets barfed on, and that turns her.
Right, and that came out of nowhere as well. Caught me totally off guard.
And her boyfriend, which I thought was her girlfriend at first, and I call him lesbian Elijah Wood. He's crawling with her in the vents, and he's telling her something is behind her, and she has to hurry. He's in front of her. And then somehow she gets in front of him. In the vents, somehow there's enough room for her to get in front of him.
Mm-hmm. Continuity, man, I'm telling you.
And just like the bad ADR all over the place, people are screaming and shrieking instead of just yelling or saying something a little loud. Like, there's a time and a place to yell, but they never found it. It's just awful ADR. People will scream when they shouldn't. And then, one thing I just put down as a funny bad is they're hammering away at a wall with fire extinguishers while the heroine of the story decides to chip in and starts tapping it with a fucking seat backing. I caught that. And I'm not going to forgive them for that.
Way to contribute.
And then the cops, showing up, they stop the punks, and as soon as the punks run off, instead of just thinking like, well, we're going to tow the car, they chase them and actually fucking say, stop or I'll shoot you.
Mm-hmm.
For what? Illegal parking? Running without any evidence of a crime? Like, punks are running away from cops.
Yeah, hardly, I mean, give chase, yes, but hardly a reason to pull out your gun and start shooting.
I know, and they're all white. What's up?
Yeah, really.
So, and then another one. 4 teens sneak into the movie theater, and none of them passed by the running zombie who bolted out of that door before it closed and immediately hides in a trap for the cops.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he's
Like this.
quick little bastard. He thought of that real fast.
Yeah, but none of them, like, they open the door, walk by, none of them's holding it. It's not jammed, it's closing by itself, and he runs out, so, like, none of them encountered him. And then the last one, because I just don't want to, I don't want to nitpick anymore. But when this woman is screaming in his ear when they're inside the helicopter in the theater, and yes, we can get to that later, but there's a helicopter in the theater, and he's getting inside trying to start it, and she's screaming, shrieking at him to do something, which he is doing. And she's just, instead of just saying they're coming, and then, like, keeping an eye on them, like, I would have killed her myself. I'm trying to do something, and you're just screaming in my ear, no. I need to concentrate.
Nope, yep, you said it. I can't argue. Are you all batted out?
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, the only other thing I had there, and this is one, I didn't know whether to put this or not, but I had the acting was pretty bad on all parts for this. But I don't know if that's just like it loses something in the translation, because this was English dubbed. So, I mean, maybe like if you were listening to it and actually like when people were speaking Italian, it was probably a lot better. So I don't want to knock off too many points for that.
Well, they were also overacting in a lot of places.
Yeah, but then again, you know, sometimes it's all in context too, right? So it's hard to say, but it didn't look like it was.
They walk into a room, which is just a bunch of bricks, and instead of walking out and going, well, let's look at something else, all 3 girls immediately lose their fucking shit. Like, they just break out into hysterics, and they're screaming and shrieking and convulsing.
So this is it for the bad. So, without a doubt, I thought for sure, like, honestly, once again, I didn't know what. It's hard to talk about this movie, and I thought for sure at first I was going to have lots to say for that would fit into our what's become our what the fuck category, the things that just don't make any sense. But I'm like, this whole movie could go into that category. And I guess the biggest what the fuck is something I always mention is that what the fuck is the plot to this movie? There's really no plot.
Yeah. Who put the mask in the theater?
Yeah, like the what the fuck is just how many questions this movie raises.
Yeah, and the guy, oh my god, the guy handing out the theater tickets, he shows up on the roof of the theater, and you think, oh, he's gonna give the plot like, oh, you've witnessed the birth of my new world. He doesn't say a fucking thing. He just starts attacking them like a regular demon. But yet he was around in the day, earlier in the day. So is he a Renfield? Was he a demon that already existed? He's not the mastermind because he's not stronger than anybody in particular. He doesn't talk, doesn't give the plot, doesn't anything. There are regular demons who talk more than this guy does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of them actually asks, like, who are you? What are you doing here? They're asking that to the people. Like, what the fuck was that? Like, do demons have questions? Do concerns?
Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. Like this, it's weird. It's hard to like I said, it's hard to comment. It's like it left so many questions. It raised more questions than answers. So many things could have fit into the good and the bad category, but yet I can't say that I didn't enjoy watching this movie. I actually did kind of like it, and I kind of would recommend it to someone else.
Yeah, it's fun to look at, but, you know, if you, like, I would recommend that you could take your phone while watching this, because you need something to keep, if you need something to keep your brain distracted, while you're listening for sounds of gore and chainsaws and shit, then, you can look up then. But, if you try to dedicate your whole mind to this movie, you may come to regret it.
Well, the good thing about this is that even if you give it all your undivided attention and it's not that great, you don't find it that great, it's 88 minutes. So it's not like you're going to be sitting there for a long time anyway. So yeah, I'd recommend it. I think it was good enough. If you're just in the mood, you want to see a little bit of 80s gore, you're not too concerned about a really complex plot, then you'll be all right with this one.
I think I'm okay with it, despite the fact that they cut up a titty.
Yeah, or they didn't actually cut it up, right?
Well, I don't think that really happened, but, there was some blood being drawn from the razor, so...
Yeah, but that's just playful. A little bit of bloodletting. So yeah, I'm okay with this one, giving it... It got an audience score on Rotten Tomatoes of 6.5. I'm good with giving it, a 6.
I give it a 5, but... I tend to overthink. I tend to think a lot.
Sure you do, buddy. Sure you do.
So, my what the fucks are just two. How did the bald accountant guy that was hanging from the rope get behind the pimp on the balcony as they were talking about cutting the rope? We never see him, climb up this rope.
Magic.
And vault, climb up the rope and then leap onto the pimp. He shows up from behind the pimp who was looking at the rope.
Well, Mike, whenever you see something like that happen, a wizard did
it. And then they fall off the rope, and I'm like, was there a third guy there? No, it's just him and the girl. And my overall what the fuck is the geography of the theater.
Ha!
Where the fuck do things go?
I would love to see the blueprint of that place.
This is more disorienting than the fucking Overlook Hotel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely some shifting, some phase shifting going on there somewhere.
Yeah, there are barricades that lead to open hallways and crawl spaces leading to, I don't know, above ground parking garages, but indoors and not big enough for cars. Nothing here makes any sense. There are rooms that just don't justify and everything is leaking on a clear day.
Yeah, you're right. It's just the layout was just
it didn't serve a point. If it was revealed that the theater was a living nexus point for demons, then you could say oh, it's constantly shifting and pulsating because of the energies of the veil being lifted. Give me something. Just fucking write this shit in. It's not hard to lazily justify something. You just have to give a thought that maybe justifying it would help a bit. You just have to care a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So I said that I would recommend it. So you said that you would recommend it, but feel free to be distracted?
Yeah.
Okay, so we give it a passing mark at least.
Watch this movie with a hot person who you can make out with or something. Or your phone. Not your phone, not make out with your phone, but yeah, just a distraction of some kind.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so you got a few things to choose from this week, but I'm curious about which one you're going to go with.
Yeah, I've got some selection for this week's Kill of the Week. And that is, I think I've got two. The main kill is multiple kills by rampaging Jensen Ackles wannabe on the motorcycle, just tearing through the theater, possibly keeping this thing elevated, going through seats with large gaps in between them. But yet everything is a smooth, flat ride. I guess everyone laid down those theater seats, making a nice bridge that they never showed, but he found it. And he's plowing through, cutting up zombies, apparently taking out zombies with a stab in the gut. Because they're not zombies, so you don't have to take out the brain.
Yeah.
And the close runner-up which, I couldn't go without mentioning it, is zombie hooker number 1 strangling the couple who keep making out with each other while they're being fucking choked out together. She's got the velvet rope from one of the little, the velvet ropes, you know what those are. Mm-hmm. She's wrapped it around their throats, she's pulled it together, and instead of them throwing their heads from side to side screaming, trying to call for help or something, it looks like they're gasping for air and then making puckering faces like they're trying to still make out with each other while being group strangled.
Yeah, that was, I thought that was kind of an odd one. Looked painful, but it just seemed...
And how do you strangle someone from the back of their throat?
Well, I just thought that they were just smushing their faces together. That's what was causing the death.
You're not strangling anybody. It'd just be annoying them. There's no pain. Unless she's
Yeah, I think there will be pain. You're putting enough force to push someone's face together. It was causing them to bleed. It was breaking skin.
Yeah, but, have them killed by... You can't make it look like they're being choked when the front of both their throats are not being obstructed in any way. The windpipes aren't being obstructed. Pull on the rope, shear their heads off. That would have been fucking dope. But just the concept that, I'm going to group strangle these people with a velvet rope and they're just going to fucking let me do it. It was just too bizarre to not mention. But it's only the runner-up before the zombie massacre.
Yeah, that was pretty massacre. I would like to see a final kill count, somebody do an actual kill count of how many demon deaths there were in that scene.
Everybody but one.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Well, that pretty much covers demons. So it's kind of mixed reviews. Like we said, we give it a passing mark at least, barely, but we give it a passing mark. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it before. It doesn't have really much replay value for me. I don't think I would bother really to go back watching it unless someone else unless I knew somebody that hadn't seen it that mentioned they want to see it. I'd watch it again. That's about the only way.
Yeah, it's mostly to get their reaction, so you can be like, I know, right?
Pretty much. But that's our opinion. We're more concerned about your opinion. We want to know what you thought of this movie, if you've seen it. If you have seen it, what do you think about our coverage? Did you agree, disagree? Was there anything that we missed you thought we should talk about? Or did you just don't care and you've got a movie suggestion for something that you want us to cover on the show? Well, you got a few options of contacting us. First of all, you can email us at graveyardshiftpod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at GYS_horrorpod, and you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegraveyardshiftpod, and also on Instagram, instagram.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. If you're feeling particularly generous and you want to make sure that we don't starve to death, you can head on over to patreon.com/graveyard. There you can help us out financially by making a donation to the show. It just helps to go with the continuous production, publication, and promotion. And eventually, if we start getting in enough, maybe some merchandise as well. And everything we collect goes directly into the show. So you can feel good about that, helping support us that way. And also you get the instant gratification of getting access to some Patreon exclusive bonus episodes. This goes to our Patreon donors only. They're the only people that have access to this. And just as little as $1 a month gets you access to these bonus episodes. And we do one once a month. They're different than what we do on the regular feed. We do some top 10 lists. We cover some horror-related TV shows. Basically all kinds of stuff. And when we do cover movies, we do it different. Instead of doing a good and a bad, we go through a full synopsis, step by step. We tell you what happens from start to finish of the movie. We describe it in detail. So check that out. But of course, we understand not everybody has the money to give us money. So you can still help us out by going over to iTunes, rate, review, subscribe. In the long run, really, that's what helps us out the most. And if you're not an Apple user, whichever way you're getting our podcast, there's got to be some kind of rating and reviewing system. So if you could give us a nice little rating and review, that would help us out greatly. And if that's not possible, share us on social media or by word of mouth. You know somebody that would like to listen to us give our opinion on horror movies, tell them about us and get them to check the show out. So, Mike, other than the Graveyard Shift, what other unimportant things you got going on?
Well, we've got Technobabble, the tech discussion podcast on the Geek Fallout Productions Facebook page and podcast feeds, so you can find that there. And I also do the Playing with Power podcast, which is a Nintendo Power retrospective. We talk about Nintendo Power Magazine. We read an issue per episode, front to back. And we talk about the game coverage, the letters to the editor, our experiences with the games mentioned, and sometimes we even dip our toe in the water and play some of the games featured, unless they're really awful or we can't emulate them. And then there's the taste test, which is available in the feed, but it also has its own feed now, where you can find, it's called Taste Test Retro Gaming with Flavor. It is the podcast where I first started doing skits with my friend Brandon. We talk about video games and food, and on a interesting combination, but we make the themes work. And we also have a new host, Ivan. He's been joining us for the last couple of episodes. He's fitting in nicely, and again, video games, old retro video games with food jokes, puns, and themes. Check it out. It's got its own feed now, so if you don't want to hear about Nintendo Power but you like old games, check it.
Yeah, all of it's great. Check them out. Seriously, guys. So that is it from us. We hope you enjoyed our coverage of 1985 Demons. We're going to be back next week with a brand new episode and a brand new movie to talk about. I should say a brand new old movie. But until then, I'm Sheldon.
And I'm Mike.
And thank you again for joining us on the Graveyard Shift.
Are you wearing that for the promotion of the podcast?